What is up, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today is the final episode of the United Mexican States. This has been a very good series for me and for y'all. I'm very happy that you guys have been enjoying this series everywhere, and I am so happy that we have done so much for Mexico. There is a couple of things that we discussed in the last episode which we are pretty disappointed about, mainly in terms of education and healthcare. I don't think is too disappointing. We have a 95-year life expectancy. Child mortality has been cut in half. Medical doctor per population per medical doctor was 1,200 before. It's at 242 now. Hospital bed is down just a little bit, but that's because of our lack of hospital buildings. And seropositive is on its way down, even though we did find the vaccine for HIV, but should be eliminated within the next decade or two. Deaths due to AIDS is down, but overdose on drugs is up, but it's also on its way down. So it's not too it's okay, but I think that our healthcare system has definitely been improved over the course of this series. I mean, 8 years that we've been able to cut child mortality in half. That is amazing. I think what we could also do is we're not going to focus on maternity hospitals. We're already at the end of the series. We're not going to be doing any major construction projects. Actually, what I think I'll do is that I'll play this game in the background through maybe at least into the next decade, into 2040, and then I'll have a return episode where we'll basically have like an idea of what I've been able to do over the course of this next decade. Maybe even if I get to 2050, we could see what we can do, but maybe we can try to see like what happens with immigration, everything like that. And it's more so a case of me trying to show the long-term effects of the policies that I've enacted. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna go over to here, public debt. We do have some debt that we can use to pay. So let's go ahead and come over and let's see how much we have. 888 billion pesos is how much we have. Let's go ahead and pay ourselves off, buy back our own loan, and that will pay our debt just a tiny bit. So that means that the United States is now our biggest lender in terms of national debt, and we have 8 trillion pesos worth of debt right now. Which is about, I would say, a couple $100 billion is the cost of that. So let's go ahead and come over here. Let's continuously try to lower our poorly insulated housing. By the time the election rolls around, by the time the election hits, we're not going to be able to focus on that anymore. So we have about a couple of more days before this election campaign. So since this is going to be a election campaign that won't really affect us, I'm gonna at least try. We're gonna try to focus on getting our party to another 6 years, but I don't necessarily think that it matters, but we're still gonna try our best here. So you might see a couple more time skips, everything like that. Whether this episode is long enough, it's mostly about what the next episode will be. So this is the series finale of Mexico. What I want to do is that this is the series finale, so we are going to be ending this in an election, but the next episode will discuss the state of Mexico, everything like that, and that will be a lot longer than this one, I feel like, or maybe vice versa. It kind of depends on how this ends up turning out. And so we are about to enter this election period. We have a meeting with Kenya that they have invited us for, so let's go ahead and accept that meeting. And the armed forces are with you. It's good. That's always what you want to have, is to make sure that that the military is always going to be behind you. Start of the election campaign. The elections approach and will take place, as you know, in a single round. The election campaign has officially begun. All candidates are now known. You know that this time we will follow the debates as a simple spectator. The ideal situation, pity that it heralds the end. So this is the end of the Claudius Sheinbaum presidency. And as I make this episode, we are about 2 months away from the actual Mexican presidential election. Claudius Sheinbaum is projected to win by at least a 30% margin against Xochitl Galvez. Participation is desired. So yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of campaigning here. But that is the biggest thing about so this is 450. We're gonna have to do some fundraising here. The biggest thing about it is that Sheinbaum is more of like, I don't think she's isolationist, but what she does kind of promote is a more neutral stance, and that's at least the policy that I have been trying to adhere to in this entire series. What I am really interested in seeing is how Sheinbaum over the next 6 years in real life will be able to get with this presidency. In my opinion, I feel like is that Galvez could be a little bit better in terms of being an American. That Sheinbaum kind of promotes that little like independent kind of thing. And I know this sounds really weird as me saying like I don't want to sound like Mike Johnson in the United States, the Speaker of the House, where he's basically like Mexico's going to do what we tell them.
Well, I don't. Mexico doesn't want that, Mr. President. We're the United States. Mexico will do what we say, okay?
I don't necessarily think that. It's about a better cooperation between the United States and Mexico, especially in terms of subjects that matter, which is including immigration. I think that Mexico and the United States can do a lot in terms of cooperation in this regard, but it needs to have someone that is willing to cooperate instead of basically like AMLO coming around and saying, well, you need to relieve the sanctions on Venezuela and Cuba. You need to give us $20 billion per year, and then we'll do something. I think that is more like extortion than actual attempts at cooperation. I get that at the same time, the benefit of giving $20 billion per year to Central America would be very beneficial to the region, especially in terms of trying to relieve the issues that are hampering the development of this region, including terrorism, gangs, everything of the sort. But at the same time, it's kind of like you're holding a gun up to someone's head and you're saying, I'm not going to do anything until you give me money, until you stop sanctioning these people, and blah, 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 blah. So I don't necessarily think that is a healthy relationship in terms of cooperation. But then, at the same time, the United States isn't one to talk whenever it comes to like how we've acted toward other countries in the past. So it's always kind of like a double-edged sword whenever it comes to that. But that's at least my opinion. You guys can go ahead and tell me your opinion down in the comments below. Cereals sales, they want to sell me some cereals, so we're gonna refuse this agreement. All right, so we have a couple of promises already made out right now. So we have the establishing of the monthly rent allowance for low salaries. So this is the one that infamously lowered my poverty level from about 60% to about 6%. However, our poverty level is at 8%, so I think that we have to start accounting for inflation. So what we're doing is that we're increasing it from 12,500 pesos to 15,000 pesos. Establish a minimum wage, we're increasing it to 3,000 pesos. We're also going to try to promise some lower, or we're not going to promise them, but afterward we're going to lower the company tax and then try to alleviate the issues that will increase our illegal employment metrics. So we're going to have to figure out a way to try to increase the minimum wage to a satisfactory level because of inflation, while also trying not to increase or destroy the efforts that we have made in terms of illegal employment. We're also reducing the gas tax, the tax on petroleum and energy products. We are reducing that from 5 pesos to 4 pesos and 50 cents. Prior to the election, we're going to go ahead and meet with some of the left-wing parties. We're going to try to meet with them and say, hey, can you go ahead and drop out? We're going to go ahead and promote a platform for you. We're going to avoid making a coalition here because we don't necessarily need to form a coalition. We actually have enough support right here to where we are advancing over the PRI. One of the mistakes I did make in this series is that PRI is actually not the second largest party. They are a force that is still pretty prevalent in Mexico, but the biggest parties right now in Mexico is the Morena Party, and then it's the PAN Party, the National Action Party. Michoacan. I always kind of get these names wrong. I even say them in front of my girlfriend, and she's just kind of looking at me like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, I don't know. 3.2 million. Let's go ahead and increase that. Angel Avila Romero proposed something that will cost about 1 trillion pesos, and I'm really interested to see what that promise was. And that lost him 60 popularity, and it is completely destroyed his campaign. So we're not gonna worry about him advancing over us in terms of this campaign. Guanajuato, let's go ahead and go over there and campaign, and let's do this on that Monday, and then we're going to do unions, legality. We don't have anything that we can advance in terms of that. Legal voting age, could we reduce that to 17? Any constitutional changes? I don't think we're going to do that. Let's do education. Let's go over here. Let's go to salaries, and let's increase this to 20,000 pesos per month. Let's go ahead and campaign for that, and that actually reduced our popularity. So we're gonna have to we're not gonna worry too much about it right now, but we're gonna at least hope that the debate kind of throws us over the edge. And we have a surprise appearance from the Communist Party of Mexico, which shows that Pavel Blanco Cabrera has proposed something that would net the Mexican economy almost 1 trillion pesos, and that shows him with an 89% popularity in the campaign. We're gonna have to see what this does in the next poll, and see if he actually advances anywhere in terms of that. So that is the Labor Party. That is not the Labor Party. That is the PCM, the Communist Party of Mexico. So he is way ahead of us in terms of program popularity. That means we're going to have to increase our tax on something. Let's go ahead and put this in. We're going to do this in Distrito Federal, which is actually not the name of the region. It is actually called Ciudad de Mexico, or Ciudad de Mexico. That is the actual name of the region right now. So that is still, I need to send that over to them and say like, hey, so there's a port that you can change. There's a city, like, because they actually have Veracruz in a certain part of Mexico. They have it actually in. We're going to go ahead and propose a tax toward something. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do a, let's do a porn tax. Usually this one actually gets a lot of popularity. So we're going to go ahead and propose that and then see what happens. That actually got us some net approval there to actually in the 30s now. We're about 45 days away from the election. We have legislative elections being told that we need to focus on, and usually I always like it whenever the congressional elections and the presidential elections take place in the same time frame. Usually makes the elections a lot easier, and you can kind of focus your strength on certain ones. Midterm elections are also really good, I guess. It kind of depends. GDP per capita, actually, we have almost doubled, not even doubled it, but we have at least halved it. So we've increased it by nearly 50% since the beginning of the game. Let's go over to elections, do another campaign promise. We're going to do this in Campeche, and we're going to do this in Thursday, and we're going to do another tax. This will be a, let's do it, yeah, like 18% wealth tax here. haven't increased the wealth tax to any which way whatsoever since the beginning of the game, I think. And that actually threw us to a 100% popularity in terms of the campaign. So we're very happy to see that that is the result of our proposal. So all we have to do now is wait until the debate. We're going to propose a couple more changes in law, at least to try to get people interested in our campaign. And we're going to hopefully get a couple of people to drop out. I will be showing you guys who I am having drop out. We're just continuously advancing through this. Breach of the free trade agreement with Brazil. So because of our poor relations, because of the recent election in Brazil, that unfortunately has ended our very beneficial free trade agreement, and that is just a travesty of diplomatic relations. As the series comes to an end, it does seem that things do want to kind of go in the wrong direction in terms of diplomatic relations, especially with Brazil, a huge trading partner. And it's very unfortunate. I actually never signed a strategic agreement with Brazil. But hopefully that will change in the next 10 years. Maybe we can do a little bit of funny business over in their election system in their next one. National Regeneration Movement fundraising campaign. We raised 160 million pesos for our campaign. Let's go ahead and invite one of our businessmen over here, and let's say that we want to invite him to our little abode, and we are going to get something going in terms of another donation. We need some money to continue to finance our campaign. Let's go ahead and ask him to finance, and he accepts. That'll be very beneficial for the Marina Party as we are trying to continue the prosperity that Marina has brought Mexico. Isabel Igaretas and a heavy fine. I wish there was more than a heavy fine. Usually I see very rarely that they are arrested or actually jailed or something like that. What I actually did notice is that usually whenever something happens, you do see that they are awaiting trial here, and I always really like to see that happen. But usually they're never even incarcerated. Usually it's always a very heavy fine, and then nothing else happens afterward. Next Caillou Summit will be in July, and we're going to accept that meeting request, and 160 million pesos from our little guy in the business. So kind of weird that we just got 160 million from the fundraiser and then 160 million from our billionaire. That's interesting. Investing in cyber protection, we have 954 million pesos. Let's go ahead and do 100 million pesos into cyber protection. We're going to invest a very heavy amount into trying to protect our servers. Cyber protection lets you perform a security audit on local networks, databases, websites, messaging, and modify systems accordingly. It also includes a training module to educate personnel on cyber security. Let's go ahead and confirm that, and that leaves us with 854 million. We're now 1 month away from the presidential election, and we are very much in a position where we are going to be fine. I think we are going to win this election handedly, at least less than a majority, but at least a plurality nonetheless. So I'm very excited to see what the results of this will be. Thankfully, it is a one-round election. We only have to deal with the single round, so it doesn't like go from the 50% to the, or like the less than 50%. If you get less than 50%, then it moves on to a second round, and then we have to do the campaign all over again. So all we have to worry about right now is just who gets the most amount of votes in the presidential election, even if it's less than 50%. And as for this, we're going to go ahead and partner with the United States on the Vogel Flores lunar base, and we will get this done by 2034. This means that we have the United States' support, and we will be able to use Cape Canaveral as a launch operation here. I really wish that whenever you do partner with these guys, you could actually change the launch location. Since I did invest so much money on trying to have the Aleida Rosales Space Center, built. I do wish that there was a way that I could change the launch location, but that is not a possibility right now. I also wish that I was able to build relations better with Cuba. I think that a free trade agreement between Mexico and Cuba would have been very beneficial for the island. That way they don't have to focus on trading with the United States, and that the sanctions that the United States places on Cuba, they would be basically relieved, as Mexico would be stepping in for Cuba in that regard. How that would affect relations between the United States and Mexico, I actually have no idea. Wonder if the United States would be pretty mad about that if that were to happen in real life. If Mexico and Cuba got a little bit closer, maybe they had a little bit of a alliance going on. Claudia Sheinbaum's party is the winner. We won 235 seats of the parliament, of the Congress, so 47%, and the left-wing parties get a easy majority over here. Party of the Democratic Action got 1 seat. They were absolutely demolished in this election. Citizens Movement, PCM, 38 seats. PVEM, the Environmental Party, 48 seats. Marina, 235 seats, about 47%. Labor Party, 15 seats. Citizens Movement, 8 seats. And the Party of the Democratic Revolution, 1 single seat. That is a very big travesty for the Citizens Movement Party. Or the Democratic Action Party. National Action Party, the PAN Party, 24 seats. Solidarity and Counter Party, 3 seats. And the Institutional Revolutionary Party, 128 seats. Very, very good to see what is going on here, and that Marina does seem in line to be winning this election by an absolute not majority, but we're going to say 47% at least. And it looks like that another free trade agreement has been breached. Australia has had a new government come into place, and the free trade agreement that we had signed together, they have restricted that and have broken the agreement. That is very unfortunate to see that another major free trade agreement for Mexico has just ended, and not in good terms. All right, housing, we could hit them with the, hey, we're going to build some more housing units. Let's go ahead and hit that promise right there. And he proposes the increase of the monthly earner allowance for low salaries to $13,000. I beat him earlier in the campaign with a $15,000 proposal, 15,000 peso proposal. We're dealing with family here, and regulate contraception. So our law right now is tolerate but discourage. Contraception consists in using temporary and reversible procedures designed to limit or totally exclude the probability of conception. The demographic, philosophical, and religious and political issues involved make it a major social question for all countries. He wants to authorize it and at will. So that's very unfortunate that really got him a lot of approval there. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to establish family allowances, and we're going to increase this to 2,000 pesos. That's going to be the idea we have here, and that way we can say, you guys have more babies, let's go ahead and increase our birth rates, and we'll give you a lot of money for you to use for your family. That actually lost the support. That is what? Really? Okay, so we have like a little like ex machina thing here. Immigration, let's go over here. Dismantlement. Aid for repatriated immigrants. What? I guess we're gonna dismantle some of these guys. Maybe that'll give us a little bit of leeway here. Let's say distribute all over the region.
Whoa, hey.
Okay, so let's go ahead and ask him a question on justice. He wants to ban the sale and possession of all firearms. That actually got him some support. Okay, let's let him do his little thing, and he wants to do the income tax exoneration for private retirement schemes. It encourages private pensions. Employees save their own pensions as they won't get enough from the system of redistribution. Okay, so I definitely have the idea here. Let's go over to health and social security, and then let's go over to retirement pension, and let's propose a higher retirement pension. Instead of $2,000, since that was a lot, let's go ahead and do $1,800, 1,800 pesos. All right, and that means that we won the debate. That was a very hard fought debate because we nearly screwed that entire thing up. We almost lost the debate because of our little bit of a interesting idea of proposals there. Puerto Rico seems to be wanting to join the ACT, the Central American Defense Organization, so we have accepted them into the ACT, and we should be seeing them as a member very soon. The Caillou just met, and we have accepted a brand new interest rate, so that's really good, I believe. That way we can continue to keep inflation low. Inflation is actually at an all-time low right now. It's at under 4%, which is very good because that is a very ideal interest rate that you want to have for your country. And anything between like 2 to 4% is ideal. Anything over 4%, that's whenever you have to start doing something to try to stop it from increasing. And the Central American Economic Union's interest rate stays at 0.17%. Barely been able to budge the interest rate this entire time. We are now at the election. Let's go ahead and watch the results. And the Morena Party has won the next 6 years in Mexico. That is an astonishing victory for the Morena Party. And the presidential election is now over. We have won. We have won the presidential election. Morena has been in power in Mexico since 2018, so this now extends their power all the way up to 2036. This is a near 20 years in power that Morena will be having in Mexico, and this kind of political dynasty has basically not been seen since the PRI was in office for a very long time, at least almost 100 years or over 100 years. Between the Mexican Revolution and about 2000, whenever Vicente Fox was elected whenever Vicente Fox was elected in Mexico back in the late 90s and 2000. So this is a huge victory for the Morena Party. I'm very excited to see that this is another 6 years on the belt of Morena, and we will definitely be playing this in the background, and I will hopefully have an episode out later on during the Ethiopia series about the advances that Mexico has made and what has changed in Mexico as I privately play this and try to develop them even further without the series. Thank you guys so much for watching this series with me. I'm going to have a separate episode after this talking about the changes of Mexico, what we have done, what we have changed in Mexico. Everything that has been developed, everything that we have improved, all of the failures of this series, and what we could have done better. Thank you guys so much for watching this series with me. Thank you guys so much for enjoying this with me. I'm very excited to go to the Ethiopia series. The Ethiopia series will be very interesting because I have a lot of room to develop Ethiopia. We have a very, very small economy here. I'm talking about a couple $100 billion in their economy with a population of over 100 million people. There is a huge industrialization potential for Ethiopia, and as well as a service-based development potential for Ethiopia, and I'm very excited to develop Ethiopia, to develop their road networks. We are also planning on doing some sort of military campaign where we do invade and possibly annex a little bit or all of Somalia, and then use them as a way to build some ports, especially around Mogadishu. We will be able to pacify the region and end any sort of insurgencies that are underway in Ethiopia, maybe even try to side with places like Somaliland. I think what we could do is decide with Somaliland and then go after the rest of Somalia, and then try to at least eat away at some sort of peace deal with Somalia, maybe even try to take a little bit of territory as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this with me. Thank you guys so much for enjoying this series, and I will see you guys next time in the final episode of Mexico, where we talk about the changes, the pros, the cons, the misses of opportunities, and the benefits of this series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.
A slow march into a new order. As the guards march away, the crowd begins to sing, joining in the theme of Auld Lang Syne, as these men march away from their final Hong Kong posting.